very back of the store has been completely rearranged, and I didn't think that these were true. Look closely. It says light binding effect for light binding here at Target for your kids. Racks the baby ones, toddler pride leggings, the toddler tutu for all your kids going to pride parades with drag queens. It's just disturbing. I'm glad they moved it to the back of the store because no kid should be seeing this in front. Here's the tucking one-piece bathing suit hidden in the back. And here's another one. Here is the tucking bottoms to the matching binding bathing suit top. The 4th of July section. As you can see, they love America. Do you see her?
Hey, welcome back to Enough with the Crazy. So, as you can tell by that TikTok video, people are still taking this boycott seriously. And I get the pleasure today of talking about the depth that seriousness has reached with Bud Light and Target. It's amazing to me how people just learn their lessons the hard way. Right now, Budweiser, who has been on the hot seat, the center of attention with this boycott of LGBTQ materials that are clearly an attempt to indoctrinate our children, now have been replaced by, lo and behold, Target. And Budweiser is got to be very happy right now that although they are still losing money because the boycotts are sticking, Target has replaced them as the focus of everyone's attention. Now, I'm sure Budweiser is hoping that with the attention drawn away from them and placed solidly on Target, that they would feel some relief from the boycott, but I don't personally think that's going to happen. So I want to read this article real quickly about just what that loss is and how effective these boycotts are. So Target Bud Light investors lose billions on marketing misses. Target Anheuser-Busch have lost a combined $28 billion in market value. $28 billion. It amazes me. It's actually quite comical when you think about it. Here you have Bud Light implementing this disaster of a marketing strategy that resulted in the loss of billions of dollars for their company, and also where this Alyssa Heinerschein is going to be a lesson module in marketing school on how not to market a business. I mean, this has been so dramatically, impacting to the business world that you would think other companies would learn from that type of mistake and be smart enough to avoid that trap. But Target, are they that smart? Doesn't seem like it, they are. Seems to me like they are so woke in their business module, in their business model, that they want to press that issue. They must think they're the big dog, and that Budweiser Anheuser-Busch is just, small pickings, because it seems to me that Target has made the conscious and blatant attempt to spit in the face of conservatives and say, we're not going to take this kind of treatment from you. We're not going to let you dictate our business practices and who we want to influence by our marketing policies. Now, I have to imagine that there can be no other reasonable explanation for this, because Bud Light's boycott was still all over the news. And there isn't a company out there who isn't aware of or who hasn't become aware of the potential risk that will come from their attempts to indoctrinate our children or to force LGBTQ ideology on us. And yet, in spite of that, the CEO of Target, he seems to be unafraid of the results of the conservative left speaking out through their boycotts. So I just want to quickly read this because this is wonderful news. And let Target go down in flames. Because if that's the arrogance that they want to demonstrate, as you saw in that TikTok video, that woman so beautifully referred to the display for the 4th of July. It being Memorial Day weekend, there was nothing to celebrate our fallen heroes. Everything was geared towards Pride Month. And bottom line is the efforts of this ideology and this LGBTQ agenda, the liberal left agenda, is to actually dismantle the foundational principles and the very foundation of our nation. They are trying to replace all those things that we celebrated for so long, Memorial Day, by the loss of those people who have given their lives to fight so that these idiots can have the kind of freedom they have to complain and whine and gripe about everything good about this country. They don't, 4th of July, very all display. They don't want to. They're just trying to replace the American culture, and we're just not going to have that. So the article says this: recent high-profile and controversial marketing decisions by Target and Bud Light are backfiring and burning shareholders in the process to the tune of a combined $28 billion. I can't tell you, that's like music to my ears. I mean, these arrogant CEOs and these arrogant woke, marketing people who think that they just have a license to tread and stomp upon every good thing about this country, every foundational thing that has built this country to the greatness that it is today. It's just like a symphony in my ears to know that these people are going to have to sing a different tune when their shareholders get a hold of them. Because when you're talking about losing money, $28 billion is no laughing matter. $28 billion will rile up these shareholders like you could not imagine. So I'm just so glad to hear the effectiveness of these boycotts, and I'm hoping that everyone who is partaking of making this stand for this country's moral culture will continue to see the effectiveness of this and continue to drive that stake into the heart of this evil ideology that is attempting to indoctrinate our children and to alleviate their natural sense of who they are in a biological way. It's unbelievably harmful to our children, and yet we have morons in our political offices who have signed on to the ideology, who has decided that the health and well-being of our children just aren't worth their fighting for. And now we're at a point where they can't even or aren't willing to define what a woman is. I mean, just it's moronic that we have enough people in this country to vote for these kind of idiots. And you got to understand that the blame is mostly on the celebrity culture of our country, because they hold the greatest influence over the people. And what's tragic is that for that type of idiotic influence to actually have enough power to sway people to vote for these woke morons in political office, it's just a clear revelation of how dumbed down our society has become. And yet I have to believe that was the plan all along, was to create a society of people that just were ignorant of what is really happening or what the truth about things are, so that they can be easily swayed, such as sheep are. And for those of us who are conservatives, we ain't going to be no sheep. We are going to stand up and fight for those things that we know are truthful and that represent this country in the manner in which it honors the blood of all those who died to give it to us. So glad to hear about this, this $28 billion loss that these companies are facing. It goes on to say these are both cases where brands have gotten in the middle of some really controversial issues, said Timothy Calkins, associate chair of the marketing department at Northwestern Kellogg, in an interview with Fox Business. I think we'll see more brands be very cautious about getting into the middle of some of these really controversial issues, he noted. Yeah, you know what? That's exactly the right direction that we intended these boycotts to take us to. We have got to prove through these company examples that it is not enough that you get to offend and attack our children and then say, gee, I'm sorry, and then go back to having a successful business. We have done that too long, and that has gotten us into this mess that we're in today. Now, our attitude has to be to drive these businesses into the ground. There can be no redemption for them. There can be no allocation for these companies to think that they can go ahead and attack our children the way they've been attempting to do. And the only way that's going to happen is if we finish the fight and drive these people beyond the point of being very cautious to where they just become downright fearful of what's going to happen to their business in market share loss if they continue to do these things. Bud Light's gifting transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney a personalized pack of beer with the influencer's likeness as part of an ad for the company's March Madness contest. And to celebrate the year's anniversary since Mulvaney began identifying as a woman has cost Anheuser-Busch nearly $19 billion with shares down 14%. Hey, the S&P has risen 2.5% over the same period. So you see businesses thriving, but those businesses that are attacking our children and our conservative values, they're going up in flames. And that's exactly the message we needed to drive home to these people. So let's see. So then we go on down to Target. And it goes on to say Target, which has supported LGBTQ pride for years, this year offered merchandise that included female style swimsuits that have the option to quote unquote tuck male genitalia. Other products offered included ones labeled as quote unquote thoughtfully fit on multiple body types and gender expressions, and a quote unquote gender fluid mug and a variety of adult clothing with slogans such as super queer, among other items. When customer backlash erupted, as first reported by Fox News Digital, the company was forced to make some in-store changes. So Target has come to this point. The merchandising move shaved more than $9 billion off the retailer's market value since mid last week, with shares down over 12.6% as tracked by Dow Jones Market Data Group. Over the same time frame, the S&P 500 is little changed. Hey, you see, business is stable, business is thriving. These companies that are attacking our children with this woke ideology and attempting to influence them towards this LGBTQ lifestyle, they're crashing and burning. That is the power of standing for a cultural morality that has defined this country for centuries. And as we came so close to the cusp of losing that by our inaction, we are now on the trajectory of getting it back if we continue to finish the job. So congratulations in the conservatives stepping up and continuing these boycotts to drive the point home that we will protect our children and we will stand for the moral right of this nation. So let me know in the comments just what your thoughts are about all this. And if you like this kind of content, I ask you take the time to share it with others, as that will definitely help the channel to grow. Also, I'd like to ask you please take the time to hit that like button, click the subscribe button, and punch that notification bell to be notified of any and all new videos that come out. Hey, as always, I want to say thanks for taking the time to listen. Until next time.